This is Good Morning Uganda.
Awesome morning here. We've been cracking some jokes, over COVID-19 and how people are translating these vaccines in Uganda. But before we get into that, wonderful to be in your company yet again. And thank you so much for watching your preferred TV station, UBC. We are here to inspire you, Uganda, once again on Thursday, the 28th of October, 2021. This is the 43rd Thursday of the year 2021, and it's the 301st day of the year 2021, which gives us a balance of 64 days to go. Those are approximately 2 months. So are you ready for the year to end? Are you prepared for yet another year? Is every decision that you're making today, now and in 2021 going to make your 2022 a brighter year? Only you can answer that. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and good to have you with us on board. On board, I also do have my comrades with me this morning. Good morning to you, Robert.
A lovely morning to you, Priscilla, and of course to those that have chosen to wake up with us. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. When Priscilla talks about the remaining bit of the year, it makes me remind you of your New Year's resolutions. What were they? Are they achievable in the remaining bit of the year? Have you achieved some? What are those that you have failed? So there's so much as the year is coming to an end, and those that usually save for Christmas, October is coming to an end. Now you have about November so that you can enjoy the Christmas the traditional way. Yes, COVID is around, but maybe by then we would have done better. Yes.
Okay, I'm also joined by Felix Nkunda. Good morning to you, Felix. And
good morning, Priscilla. How are you?
Very well.
It's good to have you this morning.
It's a pleasure to see you.
Remember how they used to greet us in school, and teacher would say, "How do you do?" And what would you answer?
How do you do?
Yeah, there comes
mother's school fees.
There comes stubborn Nkunda. They asked you, how did you? Like, yeah, I do what I do. And that was the end of my
and then you get,
I remember Mr. Chisemu first gave me like, I do what I do. Like, what? So when they ask you how do you do, clearly it is courtesy for you to say how do you do as well, right? Yeah, but for us those days we are cantankerous, as the word is. So, but anyway, it's another beautiful day, I must say. Thursday is one of those days that clearly is a leapfrog into the weekends.
Yes.
You'll see more people trying to prepare for Friday. We've gotten lots of prophecies, of course, also on the land. I saw one of the videos, don't know how true it is, of my statesman, Comrade Mbonyi, when he was saying,
you know Felix?
No, I said statesman. Statesman. Though, surprisingly, I've attended his fellowship a couple of times. Long time ago, I think I was still at Hilton or something. I wanted to know about this man everyone was talking about. So he said that he said it in Kenya, and it is going to happen, and it's also going to happen in Uganda. So we are waiting. The president is speaking today. We hope it comes to pass as the great man of God prophesied that curfew will be done. This thing, it will go, as he said. I hope it does, by the way.
Okay, all right. Well, it is true, something that is new in the world. In the USA, they have officially started issuing the first passport with an X gender mark for those that don't identify as either male or female. Now, that's definitely peculiar. And if USA starts this direction, then how far are we behind while we're pushing for the East African passport? Robert Kirabo, what are your sentiments on this one?
When I see such things happening, you know, I'm a Bible scholar. And when I see such happen, they remind me of the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, when the Lord totally destroyed the world. He may not do the same, because after the floods, he regretted what he had done. But of course, there are various forms of destruction that are coming our way. Talk about COVID-19. Look at the floods. Look at the entire global warming that is affecting us. When we move from the biblical principles of God and what was God made, and we meander in rights and nonsensical things like that, hell is coming our way while we are still on earth.
Okay.
Talks about that particular verse in the Bible. For me, it gets me to that very beautiful story of Lot, and how God kept on giving opportunity to humankind and asking, okay, you get me just 50 people in this city, so I'll save it. The guy comes back and says, man, I can't find. Say, okay, get me 20. Okay. Then he says, okay, get me one. That's how
that was a hard bargain.
I tell you,
Yeah.
and that is quite imagery in our own lives, that being a good person is so priceless. Like, you can search the whole of Uganda and zero down to one if you don't find, like, you miss to find someone who is of godly values. And probably that is also something we should re-echo about, or re-echo towards, to try and refocus our energies in being righteous. For example, in relation to that story, you see, one thing for a matter, humanity can never equate with God. There must be a level of supremacy. Whatever so God has ordained must be in that same lineage. And clearly, it is the beacon of the same.
Well, this leaves the question, do you know your identity? That's it, and only you can answer that. Get to know your true identity and live from the core of your true identity. This thing of X, Y, Z, the alphabetical of things, no,
I know who I
that's
am.
definitely not the order of the land, nor the order of our Creator. Away from that, in other news, right here locally, we did have the State Minister for Gender and Culture, Peace Mutuzo, coming out to blame energy drinks for the high rates of teenage pregnancies that we are grappling with here in
So
Uganda.
what, Priscilla?
Yes, she said that consumption of some of these energy drinks.
Isn't it the same minister who
causing
talked about
The
visiting the bush?
The other thing.
No, those are facts, Robert. She came out to talk about ladies visiting the bush, isn't it?
She's the same minister.
Wow.
But you see, there is a point in what she was talking about. Many of these drinks on market, people don't scrutinize to understand what is contained in there. There are so many on our markets, energy drink, some of them have content that even excites the body, you know, into the wrong direction.
Okay.
Yes. Look at many of those that have not been certified by the National Bureau of Standards. And actually some, because you're in a population that will just go for a drink without reading, some have a clear indication, 18 and above. Recently I saw a friend, I don't know what kombucha means, but there are so many kombucha. This kombucha, hey. So this is a young kid, and as I was driving past home, I meet her and it's late. I'm like, but why are you not home? I'm looking for something I can take so that my mouth, when I get home, it doesn't smell
The alcohol.
the alcohol.
Okay. All right.
So I'm like, okay, but why are you doing this? Because
Since there's so many people in this room relating to this conversation.
Actually,
so what happened? Put up something called kombucha something, because there are so many of that type with that word. I said, but I looked at the young boy and I told him, this is alcohol. Again, you're running away from. It doesn't smell like alcohol. So there are so many. Some even have a content of manpower.
Chirawo is talking about all those drinks. What comes to my mind is the various ways and the names people give to these drinks. There's chikompola, There's tomute, there's kokoriroko, karasoko.
So all those drinks, imagine when a teenager takes, for example, those drinks. You know, with teenagers, they're very inquisitive. We all pass through that stage.
And when they have an experience, they have to share the experience with their
another.
friends, so that their friends also
You either
want
feel
to try the experience.
lesser boy, if you're not fitting in that.
Yeah.
At the end of that, teenager may not look at what is contained in this. They'll just purchase it. Yet they are taking something that has maybe Viagra or some content that will excite their body. At the end of the day, they are mingling and mixing. And teenage
But what are your 2 cents on this conversation? Energy drinks versus teenage pregnancy, the high rates that are so rampant in Uganda currently. Are the two related in any way? We want to find out from you. The WhatsApp number is coming up on your screen, and do let us know what you think the relationship is, or even your experience for that matter. I mean, we were all once young and naughty and ignorant and not understanding a clue of every single thing we did, every decision we took, every drastic step. Teenagehood is very hard, guys.
Can you imagine there's a drink on the market called Musongola? And someone will go to the shelf and ask, I want chikompola, give me chikompola.
Do you know what happens? Because I've ever had a man who bought that drink, actually a close friend of mine, and told me, Robert, when I went back home, it was disaster, it wasn't me. But I simply bought something that he thought he ended up having bought something that has maybe,
in short,
some content that makes someone. It was a bad night.
In short, there's some truth to what the minister is saying. Okay, all right. Well, let us know, or the WhatsApp number is on your screen. But for now, allow us to actually look at the other stories that actually have made headlines in the last 24 hours, both locally and also internationally. But starting off with the local stories.
And we'll begin with His Excellency meeting investors from Turkey and ensuring that we have more investment opportunities in the country, where President Yoweri Museveni urged Turkish investment delegation to tap into Uganda's vibrant fruit processing sector and promote agro production in the country. The president was meeting the Turkish delegation of investors that were led by the Turkish ambassador to Uganda, Fatret Karim Alp, at State House Entebbe. The delegation gave him an update of the road constructions project they have been working on in the country. Uganda and Turkey have a strong commitment to development cooperation in sectors of infrastructure, manufacturing, education, tourism, and health. According to reports, Turkey's bilateral trade volume with Uganda was at $41 million in 2019, and the trade volume with Uganda increased to $63 million in 2020. Turkey's exports were $54 million, while their imports were $9 million in the same year. The Turkish ambassador to Uganda said the bilateral trade between the two countries has greatly improved, adding that the construction sector was driving the force of Turkish economy. He said that he was to ensure that there is more opportunities for Turkey and also more investments being done here. He also emphasized that their companies right now employ over 4,000 Ugandans in their different various ventures in Uganda.
The First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports, Mrs. Janet Museveni, has held a high-level meeting with the country representatives of UNICEF, Dr. Muni Sifildin, and UNFAP's Susan Mandong to discuss how to curb the escalating teenage pregnancies in the country. The meeting, hosted by the First Lady at State House in Nakasero, was also attended by Honorable Dr. Chris Bariomusi, Minister for ICT and National Guidance, State Minister for Primary Education, Dr. Joyce Kadutu, State Minister for Sports, Dennis Obua. You do have Fomolo Mafasa, the country director of SNV, and senior technical officers from the Education and Sports Ministry and the Gender, Labor and Social Development Ministry, led by their respective permanent secretaries, Keti Lamaro and Agre Chibenge. During the meeting, a proposal of a one-year multi-sectorial campaign to be led by the First Lady together with the Vice President and the Prime Minister to mobilize society against the growing evils of teenage pregnancies was presented by UNICEF and UNFPA.
We now look at cabinet decisions where the government has started mandatory COVID-19 testing at Entebbe International Airport for all incoming passengers, irrespective of where they are coming from. The Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Balyomunsi, accompanied by the Minister for Tourism, Tom Butime, said this intervention will ensure both nationals and tourists in and out of the country are safe. Minister Balyomunsi was giving a brief on the weekly cabinet decisions at the Uganda Media Center in Kampala.
Also, despite the looming terror attack threats currently in the country, the business community downtown Kampala seems to be quiet, unbothered. Many arcades and shopping malls have shown no interest in heightening the levels of security required at such venues. There are no security checkups and metal detectors on entry places where hundreds have access to the buildings. Kampala City Traders Association, however, has called for more sensitization from police and other security agencies to step up and mobilize people on the dangers of terror threats.
Away from terrorism, where we encourage vigilance, we now look at low levels of vaccination. The low turn-up of people for vaccination in The low turn-up of people for vaccination in Central Business Center has been attributed to the misinformation currently flooding the internet, more on social media platforms. This was said by the cold chain officer from the Ministry of Health, Zamperi Kazungu, during a vaccination exercise at City Square in Kampala.
Well, speaking of the vaccination exercise, we are going to be having our newsreel this morning where we're going to be talking about the vaccination must drive in Uganda, an update in regards to the statistics and where we stand in terms of compliance as Ugandans. Because remember, the target is a 4.8 million by the December 31st, 2021. But when we get to that, we'll definitely have a deep conversation in it. For now, let us turn to the international news.
Now in our international stories, we'll be looking at Taiwan's president that says the threats from China is increasing and every day, and she does also come out to conference to confront that presence of the US military trainers are on the island. Now that is Taipei, Taiwan, the leader of Taiwan, the island thrust into the center of rising tension between the United States and China, said the threats from Beijing are growing day by day. As for the first time, she confirmed the presence of the American troops on the Taiwanese soil. Speaking with CNN, she also gave an exclusive interview in regards to how the coast had grown far from the challenges way back. Now, at least she also says here is the island of 23 million people trying hard every day to protect ourselves and protect our democracy and making sure that our people have the kind of freedom they deserve, she also said. Now, if we fail, then that means that our people who believe in us and our values will start doubting our capacity to protect them. Now, still in local stories, we're looking at Sudan's coup, where we see the World Bank comes out to suspend aid after military takeover. The World Bank has suspended its aid to Sudan after the military has staged a coup against the civilian government. Now, political leaders were arrested on Monday, sparking nationwide protests, international condemnation as well. The African Union has also suspended Sudan from the bloc over unconstitutional seizure of power, and the US in the same way has also come out to freeze $700 million US. Now, Sudan's civilian and military leaders had been in the fragile power sharing agreement for the past 2 years. The Sudan cut to aid is likely to have dire consequences for Sudan's battered economy at a time when it was just starting to get back on its feet. Now still in Africa, Kenya to convert oil plant into LNG in climate-friendly grid push. Already a global leader in clean energy, Kenya plans to mothball convert in its oil-fired power plant. There where we're looking at 90% of its grid already renewable, and Kenya plans to retire or convert heavy fuel oil-fired power plants to use and at least to be able to emit less than 100% of gases to make it more climate friendly. Now state-owned Kenya Electricity Generating Company or KENGEN conducting a feasibility study on the reconfiguration and thermal power plants of the country. At least 7% of the grid load, said Isaac Kiva, Renewable Energy Secretary of the Energy Ministry, also says that this move will be able to move in line with what the expectations of the world global agencies gives. He also added to say, we won't be using heavy fuel oil anymore. Kiva said in an interview, the idea is that those thermal power plants going beyond 2030 will be converted to LNG. Well, basically that's what's trending international scene. There's much to that, of course, when you get yourself glued to UBC, that much will be given you. But on the other side, Mr. Hallelujah, Robert.
Well, we can tell you that we have the drinks that have been certified by the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, and they are safe for you to take. All they do is boost your immune system, because what you cannot easily come across has been gotten for you in its natural form and condensed in these drinks to ensure that you can fight any form of disease that comes your way. So, Hallelujah Ginger Tea, Hallelujah Turmeric are the drinks we recommend for you this morning. Just at 1,500, you're good to go. You grab yourself a bottle.
Since it's been raining all morning, I guess everyone is asking themselves where Molin Kenyana is, and I'm just trying to anticipate what she will be putting on today. I don't know if it would be green or rooftop. I said, oh, okay. I know, but she's all right. She's probably caught up by her own weather somewhere.
Grass green.
Yeah, grass green. What green? There's always a green on whatever she does. But anyway, she will be with us. Only that challenges is probably because of the weather wasn't that good this morning. And of course, also we want to share with you our poll question this morning, which we want you to share with us. As the poll question is, how can schools cope with the COVID-19 effects as schools plan to reopen? Now, we know for a fact that at least the beginning of November, universities will be opening, as the president did direct, and the aftermath of the same will see more and more schools reopen. We also saw the Minister of Health, Minister of Education rather, also come out to finish the exercise of selection. Is it the selection exercise for S1 and S5s? So clearly we are moving in the right direction, and this is from this is where we get our poll question. How can schools cope with the COVID-19 effects as schools plan to reopen? UBCGMU on Twitter there. Our WhatsApp 0709602592, and of course you can leave the same message on Facebook, and for those streaming live on YouTube as well, you can leave a message.
Okay, all right, thank you so much, Felix. And we do have Good Morning Uganda agenda. What do we have, Robert, this morning?
This morning we want to look at the future of the East African community. You know, so much has been happening, right from the jobs issue. We've had the closing of borders, and we're expecting the former speaker of the East African community, Margaret Nantongo, to be joining us, where we'll be discussing more regarding this.
All right. And in the world of sport, Ruben P. Mashivedango is going to be here at exactly 8:30 to give you an update on the NBA season that recently kicked off. However, the season's winners for last season, Milwaukee Bucks, have been kicked by the Timberwolves as of this morning from the results. That's a shocker. But anyway, the results are results. There's a game to win, there's a game to lose, and there's a game to just, you know, call it draws. Now, speaking of draws, we had some draws in the Kirabo Cup round of 16 yesterday night, and now we do get into the quarterfinals, which draws are going to be held this weekend. But a review of what the round of 16 has looked like, Ruben P. Mashivedango will still give you an update, as well as on the local scene, the StarTimes Uganda Premier League fixtures, and you do have SC Villa that has been out of the games, and now they're going to be having their first game of the season, having having been given a provisional permit to be a part of this season's fixtures. All those find them with Ruben Pima Chivinango later on. But there's something else interesting happening today. We are having a birthday boy in the house. Yes. He has turned 22.
22, seriously?
He has just grown a beard. Now he feels a little bit taller.
He's getting closer to the table.
Exactly. Now he can be allowed to drink some of those drinks you were talking about.
That have above 18.
That have above 18.
He could have consumed them long before.
No, I'm sure he's been
without knowing.
Without knowing. Yes.
Ignorance.
Thinking that some of these juices and the text, some of them have a similarity only to when the body turns crazy. That's when you understand. I think there's something that if you didn't read properly.
Okay.
So who is that birthday boy?
The birthday boy is the 22-year-old Felix Nkunda.
22-year-old? No way.
Happy birthday, Felix. In fact, let's sing for him. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Felix. Happy birthday to you.
How old are you
Thank
now?
you. I'm not crying.
To pour our water on it.
Should I be crying? But thank you so much. I bless God.
Okay, we shall be pouring water on him.
No.
So please free to come by 8:30. Be here and we pour water on him. But of course, so we've been looking for the lady in green, wondering which green she's wearing this morning. But
Yellow.
I think it's chlorophyll green.
And grasshopper yellow.
Molen, good morning.
Good morning to you, Molen.
She's how can Robert, have you had Robert said grasshopper yellow? Now I'm thinking, what's the relationship?
These things, the locusts that invaded us, they said these ones that have come to Uganda are yellow, they are old, so they are less damaged. You've forgotten
Yes,
this first, the locust issue.
I have.
Okay.
So they were yellow
That's
and
very
they were
true.
less harmful.
So probably after our song for the day, Molen should be able to break down, at least give us some colors, some color lessons. I hope so. Grasshopper green, Kirabo, really?
is Robert Kirabo and Felix Nkunda. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and welcome. Now, are we on the right track? Looking at the statistics, and I would like those statistics to actually come up, and we see exactly where Uganda stands right now in terms of statistics. Okay, we get to look at tests conducted. We now have 3,393 new tests that have been conducted. Out of those, they've discovered 73 new cases of COVID-19, and the test positivity rate now is at 2.1%, which has gone up by a full figure from the 23rd of October. You do have accumulative cases now standing at 125,861. You do have active cases administered at health facilities totaling to 298, and accumulative recovery is now at 96,589. Total doses that have so far been administered, and we are looking at full dosage, we stand at 2,854,082 people that have received their full dose of the vaccination, and the death toll is now at 3,204, of course, with new figures of the 25th of October having lost 4 persons to COVID-19. Well, the target is 4.8 by the end of this year, 2020, as directed by the president. Now we are at 2.8. You do the mathematics, another 2 million that we have to cover in the remaining 64 days of the year. How possible is this, given the statistics that we have just looked at and the target that we have for Uganda, the Ministry of Health? We want to see, one of the things that was challenging the vaccination drive was, lack of vaccines. And the Ministry of Health has done their due duty and diligence to ensure that now there's not just vaccines, but a variety of vaccines, that you have an option to go for vaccine A, vaccine B, vaccine C. And now we seem to be having a low turn up from the recent reports that are coming out from the Ministry of Health. How are we combating this new challenge that has come out of the COVID-19 mass vaccination, Robert?
Thank you, Priscilla, and of course those very informative statistics that were displayed on the screen. First and foremost, sometimes I get upset that there are things we have done in this country over and over. We do the same thing and expect different results. That's not how human nature works. One of the issues where we find problems is we don't do enough sensitization, well knowing what makes up our population. You have a population where a big number of it maybe is illiterate, they are not that much exposed, and what you're having is negative publicity. So it means there is a gap for information. Priscilla, you rightly said that one time we were craving for vaccines. Now the vaccines are in this country and people are not turning up. When we had the second wave, actually that rising in the curve of people that were going for vaccination was because of the deaths. They were not going there because maybe they understand better where they should be vaccinated, but because now they had a belief, let me go and maybe I'll survive. So for anything to proceed, you must ensure people have enough knowledge. Do Ugandans have enough knowledge regarding these vaccines? Have we invested more? Because it doesn't, you can have the officers, you can have the cold chain, you can have the vaccination points there. But as long as people have not well understood why they should get vaccinated, that is why you see that up to now you have medical personnel, medical practitioners that have not gotten vaccinated. Up to now you have teachers. The vaccination level of those that have at least received one jab is standing at 62%. Those that have received both jabs are now only at 32%. And we are expecting for schools to reopen in January. Why? Lack of enough information. People should know first and foremost, why should I get vaccinated? That yes, this is going to help your body to be able to fight COVID-19 so that it doesn't kill you. So first and foremost is saving you from death. For our country level, our economy, if you're not having a lot of the resources spent in building hospitals, buying oxygen, ventilators, all this death, we can open up. So if people understand these benefits, you move information closer to them. You have time, go on these media platforms, explain. This should be at such a time. What would be dominating content on radios and TVs? At least should be 30% or 10% encouraging people, teaching them vaccination. We have now a couple of vaccines here. You have the Johnson's, Moderna, you have AstraZeneca, you have all these. All these create confusion. We may think people have now a meal to choose from. Unfortunately, this could also be scoring in the negative direction. So to me, I really feel that there should be more sensitization. I've seen 2 instances in this country, or 3, where because people have not gotten enough information, they've failed to work out. You remember the speed governors? Where people would install them, then find a way to mess about with them, yet they were saving us. People were believing maybe someone brought them. The seat belt, come to these borders, you see them with helmets. It's only a traffic officer that they put. So if people do not understand the actual reasons as to why, however much you extend services to them, they will not go by the services and they will not respond.
Thank you so much, Robert. Looking at how Ministry of Health has been handling the vaccination drive in terms of the different categories that were presented. Of course, in the beginning, it was security forces, people in the forefront. You did have health workers among many essential workers. Now you get to have an addition of people in the education sector also being on that A list of those that are mandatory to get this vaccination because of the nature of their contribution to this country's economy and development. Now, the education sector has independently also been pushing their own vaccination drive, and we did have Mr. Mujimba here, Dennis, a spokesperson for the ministry, stating that they are not anywhere near what their target was, because by today it should be about 70% of those teachers, teaching and non-teaching staff that should be vaccinated. But looking at the statistics, so far we are at 63% of those, which is about 346,000 teachers that have received their first dose. Meanwhile, when you look at the second dose, we are at 20%, and yet we have a potential school reopening for universities in November. You do have statistics showing you that there's still a low turn up for those students 18 and above that are meant to be receiving their vaccination. When they report to school, are you going to chase them away because they're not vaccinated? So while we do have a drive in one direction, there is challenges that are presenting themselves in the opposite direction that will challenge the entire exercise. Felix.
Well, Priscilla, this whole exercise of vaccination is in the custody of government primarily for now, and that's a matter of fact. However, I want to appreciate that they have done greatly well so far, but probably in the same line of appreciation, I think there must be challenged that they should have done better. And why I say this, I'll take an approach in a tripartite sense. One, for example, for some of you who have done politics, and I know my brother Robert is a very good politician at that, you know that when you're counting your votes, you start from your own constituents, which should be your what? Your family, your household. It is only fair enough that you should have convinced your household before you go to convince the Priscillas, the Felixes, the Jatidis of this world. I think it would be fair enough. How convinced is the family of government in terms of vaccination? And I think for me that's the starting point. Kirabo, you're standing as, let's say, chairman or councillor, but your family is not voting for you. Katifu tugambaki. What are you going to tell us on the outside? You get the point. So I find that there's a lacuna in the sense of, if I bring it to that sort of like line. I think and believe if our government had convinced its household, and by that I mean civil servants to start with, the people who are employed by government, or beneficiaries of government in terms of corporations, in terms of any relationship, authorities, just to mention but a few, that should be the starting point. But if your household is not well with your candidature, If you go, you say, I want to be chairman, I'm going to work what? And the wife is saying, you're Muronde. You're Muronde. So it defeats the purpose. Now, before you go out to a market vendor, telling them vaccination is good, it's important, you won't die, Pfizer, Simanya who. Now, the market vendor who doesn't even know any biological term. Who do you think it's easier to convince, an elite or an informal person? Because for the elites, they have more access to information.
To information, yes.
So it should be easier to start with your household. I have time and again told you, the mark that we need to open up the economy can be superseded by just vaccinating public servants. Or you want to call them civil servants, whichever you want. That should be the starting point. So on that ground, they have failed. If I want to say, I think they're not doing well so far. They could have, I heard at one point they talked about paying salary. I heard about accessing premises.
Like Ministry of Health recently, for you to access their premises and your stuff, you had to have been vaccinated.
Ministry of Health is simply a drop in the ocean when it comes to government. I doubt it even employs more than 5,000 people as an institution alone. But if government as a government, it employs more than over 6 million people. I'm thinking. So I think we have a docket to start with, then it will be much easier. Because imagine if words went out there that all people who are attached to government in any form must be vaccinated between this date and this date. Now, if even the wananchi out there in the market hears such a thing, like, whatever government, bagemedwa. Because people in government have relatives also in all these other informal sectors. So I think that would be one. But however, that also has a challenge. I'm thinking that we don't have enough drugs probably if such a policy is passed.
No, but let's utilize what we have. Rather than
because up till today
okay, so if we won't have enough drugs, are we keeping the drugs
so anyway
for farming?
No, you're right. You're right.
We are getting them so
we should utilize what's
vaccinated.
there to the maximum.
Make the Ministry of Health understand that they need to provide more by you consuming
when there's scarcity than having
but you're having plenty. Many of them we've been getting them through the COVAX facility, and one of the mark where we've been getting these vaccines in plenty is absorption rate, because these countries will look at which country how are they absorbing. So even if we don't absorb them, we may end up lacking.
Exactly.
Yes.
But then the second thing, Priscilla, as just three things. One was that, but the second thing also, I feel that the Ministry of Health has been left as a lonely wolf in this. I feel that we have all abandoned.
Would it be with a national task force that has now all the way to local government,
for example,
additions?
That's good for formality, my Priscilla. That's good for formality.
Recently, the president gave out double cabins in the fight against COVID-19.
But you see, what is the relationship of a double cabin to the reason why you will move to go to City Square to be vaccinated? You see, as I've always had a discussion,
one, you're carrying those that are helping with the vaccine. Let me finish. Carrying those that are helping with the drive, those that are going to carry out the vaccination drive, transporting them to the location. Two, that vehicle is going to be able to continue with the vaccination sensitization drive.
That's very fine.
It's going to be able to coordinate hotspots in their different localities and regions.
No doubt.
But also,
Priscilla, one thing we must know.
That thing is more theoretical. I must tell you, because I've observed for a long time that when the president is speaking, key officers in the Ministry of Health are speaking, they'll tell you how they have managed to have a system up to village level. But actually, there is a blockage somewhere.
Practical aspect. And that's what I'm going to say.
It's not there.
That, you see, you must be able to discern or disseminate the indifference that comes with equality and equity. There are places in this country that need double cabins. There are places that don't need double cabins to have people vaccinated. Kampala, what is the relationship? Because the hotspots have been talked about is Wachiso and Kampala. Now, you cannot tailor-make a general approach to vaccination because you have double cabins. I think we must look at equity. That if Gulu needs double cabins, let us give it double cabins. But what does Wachiso and Kampala need? Do they need double cabins? Where people simply walk to these places. How about we put in place mega attributes that can lure people towards? And for example, who is the ministry partnering with? Relevant partnerships.
But in this mass vaccination drive, you've had them having relevant partnerships to spread and encourage different categories of the masses to be able to come. Isn't it working?
So why are we having low turn up now? It worked for a moment.
I think we've had programs in this country that we can benchmark from. For example, if you remember the HIV/AIDS campaign.
Actually, I wasn't there.
Yeah. It was cross-cutting, or if you read about it, we had all artists almost into that. We had all religious leaders almost into that. Cultural leaders almost into that. We had almost everyone was a brand ambassador.
It was a Uganda problem.
It was a Uganda problem. Yeah. One of the dynamics, the way they're handling COVID-19, it seems
it is a global problem.
It is a global problem. I'm looking at Uganda. It seems there is a way that maybe it has been left to a particular group.
And yeah, that's what I'm saying.
A particular group. This is our disease. We are the experts. We understand. You find a person who would stay in Kampala and coordinate an activity on ground, shifting, moving there.
I actually think what Robert's saying makes a lot of sense.
And for me, I'm speaking from issues I've seen in my community. I told you that Sunday I was moving around encouraging people to go to vaccination. Yes. But one thing, I even went to the municipal cars and asked them, this is information I have from the ministry. Show me this connection. Where the village health teams that are active in this time have been in my. I've never had even anyone moving through encouraging people. You see, go to this office, go to the other office. Facilitation. Even where this, even parliamentary committee was moving around investigating. They found so much money that was meant to pay these people.
Nothing. Huh? Whatever that means.
Yes, and you see, and it was just discussed on Parliament. We see we've directed arrests. We are dilly-dallying with something that I think...
All right, looking at globally, as of the 24th of October, we've had a total of 6.6 billion vaccines that have been administered. When you look at the death rate, well, it's quite saddening that we do have the toll of death now at 4.9 plus million people that have passed away because of COVID-19 in just within almost 2 years. It's coming to 2 years. And then the total number of confirmed cases globally stands at 244 million plus people that have gotten COVID-19. But we can still beat it. We are stronger than it is, which causes us to ask ourselves, where are the opportunities, where the the strengths and also weaknesses, and how can we capitalize on them to actually push the fight against COVID-19 forward?
I think for me, Priscilla, for starters, we must first of all understand the kind of country we live in and what lures majority people. Let me just take an example. If you do take keen notice into how the elections happened, you notice that almost every candidate had to use music. But why? At some point, one of the candidates, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, then former president, aspirant, rided a lot on his career. And some people kept on saying, "Have to get just school it is actually the music." Now, we must know our strongholds. When you ask for strength, our issues of let us identify. How about we use the art industry to promote this? I have not, you see, artists at the beginning of Corona, remember what they did? Almost every artist was in studio on their own money, shooting video on their own money to help people deal with. Stay home. We saw the Bebe Cools, the King Sahas, we saw, just to mention, but almost everyone was in studio. But how did the ministry pick up on that? How? Let's be honest. Did it reward anyone? Because budgets were there, let's be honest.
There's somebody related to someone who was singing some message that was
so. I think let's know the kind of crowd we are dealing with. We're dealing with a crowd that relates with what? Like you saw the Nalwoga is coming on board to tackle their audience.
Even the Ministry of Health right now is having targeted sensitization to targeted
for particular, yes. But I think for me the first thing, I'll be honest to you, if they brought artists on board, it would make a difference, and I can, like, honestly. Secondly, government must be on board as the first people to be exemplary. These things of saying that if government doesn't pass standing orders, we are going to be stuck. The wananchi are given a drive from, you see, the belief is that the formal leads the informal in terms of understanding, in terms of, and so for me, I think that government, and also let's get some people on board. For example, key people, we need some messages. We have had the Katikiro say something, that's a good thing. The Archbishop says that's a good thing. Let's continue. Let's use also members of parliament. How have they been engaged? So anyone people who are opinion leaders,
okay,
you have people on social media, so let's exploit all these avenues.
All right, the other avenues that we have for exploitation right now are the SOPs that have been here time memorial, and the implementation of them was good at one point, especially when we stepped out of the second wave of lockdown. However, most recently, from the studies around just within our communities, our workspaces, we seem to have relaxed on the SOPs. We seem to have relaxed on the directive, which said now allows companies, organizations to have 20%. You're having more than that if there was to be honest monitoring and evaluation. When you look at arcades and buildings, when it comes to the sanitization, temperature checks, are we still as vigilant and as actively participating in the SOPs drive as we were after the second lockdown? And how can we still not leave that behind, because we must have a balance of both of them running concurrently?
First, we've lost it when it comes to soaps. In many of these places, they are long gone, and it seems businesses that has gone back to normal. So one thing we must do, for me, I will emphasize sensitization, giving people the right information. Talking about this on radio, ensuring you go to the grassroots and inform people is what we need right now. Because, and also the enforcement bit of it. You know why government has coercive forces? It's not only in terms of criminality, but even in issues of disaster. What can happen if a third wave comes to Uganda right now? Because we're not vaccinating, infections increase, and we just have to lock the economy again. So how can we avert this? It is only in vaccination. What are the benefits? It saves your life. Why should you still have the soaps? Maintain them, because you will spread COVID to a person who is not vaccinated yet. For you who is vaccinated, even you who is not vaccinated, you may get COVID and it may be a ticket for your death. Remember how costly it was to treat COVID. Uganda, let's not forget very fast. Millions of millions were spent in terms of treating, which wasn't even guaranteed that someone would survive. Okay. But just an injection can save you those millions and your life. It is time we want to reopen our economy. It is time we want to stop this dilly-dallying. Government, get on course, enforce these regulations. Like Felix said, where enforcement is required, let's have enforcement. And also matched with enough information.
Again, let's find balance within the SOPs and also the mass vaccination drive. But we can't wait for government, we can't wait for the artists. It's your responsibility to take care of your life and ensure that you live a long, lastful, but also enjoyable and happy life. So that in case you get to contract COVID-19, it's not as severe as it would have been if you hadn't gotten the vaccine. So please go to the nearest center to you, nearest health center. Please go to your local government. Please go to your division offices and get the information that you need. Get that vaccination, and also your family, carry them along. Do not leave anyone behind. Together we can actually achieve this. After all, our neighbors Kenya now have a curfew that was taken away. Wouldn't you want that to be the case for Uganda someday? Well, make that someday the 31st of December 2021. We do have a balance of 2 million people that we desire get vaccinated to hit the target of the 4.8 million. However, this evening at exactly 8 p.m., the head of the state, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, will be addressing the nation, and one of the things he's tabling is a COVID-19 update and a way forward. For now, allow us to go into the tabloids and see what they are talking about. Later on, traffic and the lady wearing grasshopper yellow and chlorophyll green will be here to give us weather, nature and climate still in this hour.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
nga bwe nagambye okuleetera mu ntandikwa kano ke twerekedde ka bwongo erudda nga bagamba kano ke twerekedde kasufu nnyo kamala njagala olabe nga bwe nagambye teweemamaaza tulakalira maaso ku lutimbe wawawa.
Pay bills using Airtel Money. Make any bill payment within a month with a minimum of 5,000 Uganda shillings and get 10 minutes free Airtel to Airtel calls valid for 24 hours. Dial *185 *4 hash or use the My Airtel app to pay for water, buy yaka, pay TV and so much more. Terms and conditions apply. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, so much is in the papers this morning, but there is one story that I know will put a smile on Felix and many Ugandans, and this is in the New Vision. Fish exporters apologize. That is the Ugandan Fish Processors and Exporters Association have apologized over the request to have the Nile Punch ring-fenced for export only. So now we settle the case. They have apologized regarding about that. Still, look at the New Vision. Security probes refugees over ADF rebel leaks. That is terrorists suspected to have entered Uganda from DRC Congo. Still in the New Vision, Mbale Nebi get new bishop. And the New Vision also looks at Americans sign deals with Uganda. Which deals? Well, the New Vision has more of that. To the education column, school selection. Top schools reject best performing students. Okay. Then over 270 tenders up for grabs in the New Vision this morning. And not forgetting Senior 2, Senior 3 work in entrepreneurship studies, computer, physics, English and mathematics are in the paper.
how lapses aided terrorist attack. And today in DM, Toyota Alex combines affordability and stability. District set up security measures after attacks, and minister MPs failed to pay taxes, and traditional schools raise intake grades. There, but of course also Nebi and Mbale diocese get new bishops, and Uganda set to start kidney transplant in Mulago, but also MP poke holes in government settlement on bombing. Inside the papers, still about the same. Ministers and MPs default on taxes. Wow. Minister of State for Planning Amos Rugorobi appears before the Budget Committee at Parliament, and she says responsibility centers, they give you here a tally on what is held back from some of the ministries and why they're not paying taxes. But that's so sad. Today in history, court acquits Amin's former aide, that is in 1981, and Italy evades Greece, that is in 1940.
Looking at the New Vision again, we begin with the COVID-19 tracker, where we have 73 new confirmed cases, positivity 2.1, come to death, so 4 persons have succumbed to COVID-19, and the total deaths of 4 people who have died of COVID-19 in Uganda stands at 3,204. Today in history, it was on this date, the 28th of October, the year 1996, when presidential candidate Muhammad Chibirige Mayanja created the Justice Forum. And security tightened at bus terminals. There is a picture there of workers there trying to inspect and check luggage there, but also landmark. Today the New Vision brings you the very lovely falls, that is Amaropi Hot Springs, there for you to go and visit. This time we promote domestic tourism, as also those from international and the rest of the world come in. It is us to start and keep this going.
And in sports, Arsenal into last 8 English Premier League Cup. Their former Leeds Lionel Eddie Nketiah pounced, of course, their Arsenal's second goal to propel London's side into the last 8 of the English Football Club. Now, Kokwaras also longer wait there for Villa, and Safari Sevens cut Crane's holiday short as well. But also still in sports, Sali prepares Ndeje University for return to Premier League. Now, Nakarembe hopes that win unlocks Uganda's open dream. But also, Najemba to lead Uganda cast as rivals Shan Sekafa Women Under 20.
And in the New Vision Sports, so much regarding the Golden Boy of Uganda, preparations for his traditional wedding ceremony that is due, and Sebei region is now a place where security has been tightened as we gear up for that. But you are in safe hands in Sebei, those that are going to be coming for this ceremony. She cranes heads south, and we all eat better to her. So much regarding sports. And don't forget that our very own Ruben will be here to give you all the details in the world of sports and those catchy stories there. Felix.
Daily Nation, where we'll be looking at that is Mudavadi promises to cut debt, that is jumpstart economy, and Gengeton women storm the sea. But of course also in the big headline, county leads in number of registered voters, that is at least over 2 million. Now Uhuru Laila delay Nairobi campaign. Is that technical or a planned move towards the 2022 elections? There where we'll see Kenya going to the polls. But of course, far from that, we now also want to dive into our traffic updates with Priscilla Nalwoga. Thank you so much, birthday girl. You know how they used to say happy birthday and you say you too? Same to you.
All right, so we get to pick up our traffic from where we left it off yesterday, of course, still in Nakawa division, where we get to see people who usually use the alternative route that comes through Chinawataka, and then they will access Mbuya and maybe even Mutungo for that matter. So between Mbuya and Chinawataka, of course, clearly there's not so much jam that you're seeing, but of course you do expect that Chireka Road, because it's a narrow road, even if it's a two-way traffic road, is going to be slowly feeding into Chinawataka. Thereafter, you get into the areas of Mbuya. Now, the areas of Mbuya only have hotspots at the sharp corners and also at the connecting routes there, where you do have a connecting route to Bugolobi, and you also do have another connecting route into Nakawa, which brings you out at the Nakawa traffic lights and the trading center, and also gives you a connecting route into the industrial area. Which routes we want to see what they look like in terms of traffic this morning. Now, coming from Mbuya, you get access to Bugolobi, around the Bugolobi flats. Of course, it's a residential area, so not much traffic jam is building up. However, at Bugolobi Market is where you do have a lot of traffic that is coming into the area of Bugolobi flats. Equally, a lot of traffic that is leaving Bugolobi flats. One of the reasons is because there are taxi stages on either side of the trading center there in Bugolobi, influencing how traffic is slowly moving. And of course, there's that connecting route that brings you into Bugolobi, where you do have Silver Springs Hotel. That connecting route is also having some sort of jam, but away from that, in between there, on either side, either on the side of Old Port Bell Road or on the side of New Port Bell Road, it's actually clear routes. A sneak peek into Nakawa, it's a clear route this morning as of 42 past 7 p.m. You get to see the route is clear. Moving into industrial area and other parts of Bugolobi, you get to see that traffic on Old Port Bell Road is not so heavy, only at the interceptions of other roads. Luthuri Avenue having a connection to Old Port Bell Road. Obviously, because of the interaction of these two roads, you will expect hotspots of jam on this particular area. A few potholes, but hopefully they will be cleared anytime soon this year. Following Old Port Bell Road, in interacting with the industrial area, you do have a lot of industries in here, of course, that bring in jam because of the heavy duty trucks that have to move goods around here and there, and also traders that come in to buy their own products from within the industrial areas. So up front of industrial area may not be so bad on Old Port Bell Road connecting to the Airtel roundabout on Kampala Ginger Road. However, we do have the 6th Street and the 8th Street that always bring in traffic, especially for the heavy trucks. Now, that heavy interaction between these two streets and Namwongo is where you're going to be having a lot of traffic jam, because the people that are coming in from Chisugu, Muyenga, Bukasa, people that are coming in all the way from Kansanga will usually alternatively go through Namwongo to be able to access the city within these particular routes, to avoid the cumbersome traffic that usually builds up on Mukwano Road this morning, in presence of the fact that it has rained, so there's flooding, and also the fact that there's a Kampala flyover construction going on, which also doubles the traffic jam. So Mukwano Road may not be the best alternative for you this morning. Find another way to be able to get yourself either on Ginger Road or even on Kampala Road for that matter. Looking at your responses to our poll daily this morning, we do have someone who has sent in us a message and says, honestly, the government through UNBS should take their lead. In my tribe Lango, there is a slogan that says Yeto Pendun Nono, literally meaning there won't be any smoke without fire. Those drinks are causing a lot in destroying our children. And Juma Mudashi from Aduku, that is Kwania district. Well, thank you so much for your contribution. Of course, this is in response to the conversation we had earlier about the Minister Peace Mutuzo coming out to say that one of the responsible things for teenage pregnancy rampancy in the country currently is this energy drinks, quote unquote. We do have Ayepa Don. Those energy drinks are dangerous to our life, though they are being advertised. That is true. When you look at the content to your body, you know, if you take it regularly, it's definitely going to work your kidney and your liver, which causes it to perform less. And then someday the doctor will tell you, I think you need to, which is something that will cost you an arm and a leg of money. So take care of your health now, make the right decisions, and be informed about these things that you take on the market. They may be tasty, they may be giving you good feeling, but is it necessary for you to have that feeling and at the cost of what? Your health later on in life? think about it. Good morning, Uganda family. I think government must emphasize on vaccination of students, even those in lower classes. I heard that jobs for kids are soon coming. It's better they think of opening after receiving them. Secondary staff should limit unnecessary movement of students in and out. There must be strict laws to even parents. Cricket, Derek Gagamel in Machindi area code. Well, thank you so much, Cricket. Okay, that's an interesting one. But you see, it's one step at a time, and we will definitely get there. But if we say that we wait for the ones that for 18 and below vaccines, then that's going to prolong the education sector being out of business, which affects the economy of the country, but also longevity of the future of this country. What will it look like if we make such decisions? Anyway, continuing on, good morning, Uganda. Charlie, thank you so much for yesterday's discussion. Loved it so much. And you are also talking about mental health. You need more of those honest and brutal discussions. People are out there and they don't have health. Yes, COVID-19 has brought to light that people are grappling with a lot of challenges regarding mental health. We get to see the final one being about energy drinks. Good morning, Uganda. At the time of allowing the products, quote-unquote, energy drinks on the market, is the government not aware of these effects? And this is Ivan Kahwa, who is our journalist here at UBC. Well, that's where we bring in the question of the Uganda National Bureau of Statistics. Where is their role in ensuring continued assessment, monitoring, and evaluation of the products that they accept on the Ugandan market? Anyway, tomorrow is Friday, and you know what that means. Good morning, Uganda. Special Friday is going to be special indeed. We are bringing someone that is phenomenal, and when he opens his mouth to sing, you're like, your jaw drops. Like, ah, okay, all right. We do have people that can sing as though this is, you know, those audition things like The Voice, America's Got Talent. This is the kind of person that should be on that platform. Well, his name is Julius Sessa. He's a singer, he's a songwriter, and he's also a creative producer. He's going to be doing some of those covers that will cause Ruben Pima Chividango not to do sports because he will be singing, no, okay, you also sing this one. Okay, do you know this album? Things like that. That is Julius Sessa for you. So tomorrow, make a date with us at 6 to 9 a.m. We'll definitely be here to turn your Friday into a special one and usher you into an awesome weekend. For now, the lady of weather, nature and climate joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Molin.
Yes, a very good morning to you, Priscilla.
How are you?
I am fine.
Welcome back from Blackstone.
Yes, I am back, and with yellow and green. I think green is my color. I should admit that now.
Okay.
Yeah, but you did say something interesting about tomorrow. I think you're giving Ruben way too much credit when it comes to music. I feel like he's just going to be seated there watching and being like, wow, that I can't do. He's good with sports, but music I doubt.
Oh, you'll be trust me, tomorrow you'll see another side of Ruben.
I am
What
waiting.
do you have for us today?
Yes, today we continue to talk COP26, what are the preparations, but also what is worrying about the urgency for the delegates at COP26 to take action, and we're looking at climate change. Well, we have seen our neighbors, that is Kenya, they did declare a move for renewable energy. That is a very bold move and one of its kind across East Africa, to see a leader, a president of a nation, declaring that they are committed to go renewable energy, and that is something really nice, especially right now that we are seeing reports that carbon dioxide levels continue to rise, even at a time where we had seen them go down by at least 7%. Now, last year we did look at the fact that we had a pandemic, COVID-19. Now, that means that it did reduce our carbon footprint, meaning that there was reduction in air travels and a lot of activities that didn't go on. But then again, we did look at the fact that that did create a few drops in the carbon dioxide levels. Well, guess what? But then after 2020, we then look at the fact that the emissions are now going back to the levels that we're worrying about. Now, after when actually lockdowns were uplifted, we did see again, you know, air travel is back and a lot of activities, industrial activities, that has put us at a level where we're looking at least 4%. Again, an increase in carbon dioxide, and that is what is worrying, creating emissions gap that we are looking forward to addressing come in a few days at COP26. But also bad news still coming in from Siberia. We have seen methane is one of those greenhouse gases that are worrying, to the fact that its effect doubles more than what we have for carbon dioxide. Now, Siberia did have a heat wave, and this heat wave has created more emissions in terms of methane. Now, methane traps more heat than carbon dioxide. If carbon dioxide itself is worrying us in terms of how much heat it is trapping in the atmosphere, imagine a gas that is double the effect also on an increase. Now, more on that report is that Siberia is ready to address the fact that this is something that they are concerned about, and also are looking forward to more solutions when it comes to reducing these emissions into the atmosphere, but more so how to curb with the effects that come with increase in temperatures, more of the extreme weather events that do come with such an increase in temperatures. Now, talking about extreme weather events, over the last 2 days, parts of Massachusetts, that is in the USA, have been dealing with a bomb cyclone. Now, this started as a storm, and it was bringing heavy rains, that is across Tuesday, but also yesterday it now grew into a bomb cyclone. Now, this has caused a lot of flooding across the city, especially the New England and also parts of Massachusetts to the northeast, meaning that most of the transportation is actually frozen due to the roads that have been cut off by these floods coming from the tropical cyclone. That is a bomb cyclone that has now been there for 2 days. But this has also caused a lot of transport delays, especially for the marine. And it's not only on the road, but also across the waters. Now, this is also creating more strong winds across the city, and we're yet to get more reports on how much has been affected. But what we know for now is that over 600,000 homes have lost power, and also the industries that are within that area have also lost power due to the effects of the strong winds and this bomb cyclone. And also some of the houses that were destroyed, people's property, cars, due to this same cyclone. But back here home, that is across the western part of the country, across Rwenzori, Kasese, we did see a report yesterday, and that was coming in from Red Cross, about the strong winds that hit one of the villages in Kasese, also taking away a roofing from one of the houses. But now this area is still in hotspot for heavy rains. Do look out for the forecast that we give for southwestern Uganda. Still, Rwenzori region is on spot for the likelihood of strong winds, heavy rains, and possibly floods. So this area is still under watch for heavy rains. Now, I am happy that most of the organizations come to really be on ground, like the Red Cross, and also at least the local authorities are vigilant to look out for what is likely to happen and help the community to cope with such extreme events. Well, that is those are some of the effects that really do come when we look at extreme weather events. But well, we want to go ahead and take a look at what we have for this morning across Uganda in terms of our satellite coverage. It has been a rainy morning across most areas. We did start off with those wet weather activities across mostly the part across Lake Victoria. Now, that is the rain system that was moving across the country and bringing us more rains across most places. Now, that system seems to be clearing even as we speak, and that is most likely to be heading towards the western part of Lake Victoria, that is taking in parts of Masaka, taking in parts of Rengo. That area can expect to have rains as the morning progresses, but also we look at the fact that we have been dealing with intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, especially for the northern parts of the country. But also that is likely to have rains as the week continues. Well, we will go ahead and take a look at our forecast for this morning across different areas across the country, but for sure we are starting off with mostly rainy conditions, and having a forecast on a look ahead That is for Friday, Saturday, and into the weekend. Well, what we see is that we're likely to still be dealing with most of those reduced wet weather activities across the Karamoja region, also for parts of northern Uganda, where you see those areas that are still covered in light blue colors. That is where we do expect rains, that is across parts of Midwestern, especially looking at more deeper colors, and also the Lake Choga region. But there is quite a reduction across the lake, so we might be looking at some sunny mornings as we head into the weekend. Then we start to see more rains developing, that is across southwestern part of the country, across parts of Kisolo, Kabale. You can expect to actually be looking at more rains, and then a little bit of reduction as we look at those light blue colors now across central northern Uganda, Fugulu, Kitgum, Padel. There will be just a little bit of rains, but at least picking up across eastern Uganda, also towards Mount Elgon Highlands. That area can expect a few of those rains. Generally, we are still looking at sunny conditions and hot conditions for the Karamoja region, which is still open in the gray colors. Now, as we head for Sunday, then we also look at more pickup of wet weather conditions that will be across mostly parts of Midwestern Uganda, Masindi, Hoima, Fort Portal. You can look out for those rains. Also, we see more pickup of wet weather activities across the Lake Victoria Basin. That takes in Kampala, Wakiso, Entebbe, Mukono. That area can also expect to have those rains. That is talking about Sunday, but also southwestern Uganda goes on continuing with rainy conditions. Same across Mount Elgon Highlands. Otherwise, there is quite a reduction when we look at the fact that we have those light colors across northern Uganda still, and the Karamoja region still continues with mostly sunny conditions. That is looking at what we will be dealing with as we head into the weekend. But again, I will be here tomorrow to take you more into the updated details of what we're looking at in terms of our forecast across the most areas within the country. But I think that we're still going on with our rainy season, and I know one person who is very vigilant to see what comes in for November. That is the Nsenene season. Well, somehow there is a link between grasshoppers and the rains. It is favorable for them to develop, so we are looking out for those. Well, but in our forecast this morning, we look at the Mount Elgon Highlands, where we have Mbale, we have Bududa, we have Buko, Sirongo. We are forecasting isolated rains. Those will be over several places, looking at least 20% of the area getting rainy conditions. Also starting off chilly at 25 degrees centigrade. That area can expect rains even in the afternoon. Now, the western part of Lake Victoria, that is where we have Masaka, Sembabule, Kalisizo. That area is already having cloudy conditions and a few rains over some places. But we do expect those to continue, and that will be spreading to several places across that region, starting off with a chilly 25 degrees centigrade. Also, that rainy system across that area is likely to continue into the afternoon, so you can dress appropriately if you're still home and headed for that area. Now, looking at the eastern part of Uganda, where we have Soroti, Katakwi, Amoria, we have Kumi in that category. We are forecasting intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. Looking at starting off with a warm morning at 28 degrees centigrade, also likely to continue with those intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions into the afternoon, and we could be hitting 30s as the day progresses. But also further to that, we are looking at the Karamoja region still forecasted to have mostly sunny conditions and very hot conditions. So in case you're also traveling towards the Karamoja region, it will feel hot and quite sunny. Although for the residents, most of the people within that area have been used to hot weather, but if you're new in the area, you are going to feel that difference, especially the fact that it is actually the hottest part of the country as we talk compared to the rest of the regions. Now, what is interesting is that also to the south, we do have southwestern parts of the country where we have Kabale, so that area is the coldest part of the country. So those are the areas that you really have to look out for in case you're traveling, to know that there is definitely going to be a change in your temperatures. Well, for now, I want to leave you at that. We do have Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up, and later we will have sports, but also not forgetting that we do have Good Morning Uganda Extra with Jagenda Semakula, who will be here to also take you through that after. My name is Molen Kenyana. I want to wish you a good morning.
Topic of the day on UBC, brought to you by